250 years. That's how long United States of America has existed. So think about that for a second. Before airplanes, before electricity reached every single home, before television, what we are watching today, before the internet, what we are using today, before America became the most powerful nation on the entire planet. Now, generations after generations built this country brick by brick from scratch. They fought wars for this country, survived economic crisis back to back, made sacrifices, and took a lot of risks, helped shape America we know today. A 250th anniversary is just not another celebration. No, absolutely not. It's a historic milestone, a kind of moment most people will only witness once in their entire lifetime. But as America prepares to celebrate 250 years of history, freedom, achievement, and national identity, another story has entered the spotlight. Donald Trump is turning 80 years old, and now a UFC event connected to White House has become one of the most talked about stories in the entire country. Suddenly, two celebrations are sharing the same stage. America's 250th birthday on one hand, on another hand, Donald Trump's 80th birthday. Now, that raises a fascinating question in the media. What exactly is America celebrating? The country, or the president, or somehow both at the same time? So let me break this down in detail so you might understand this very clearly. Why the story is just everywhere now. And just let's be honest for a second here. If Donald Trump quietly celebrated his birthday with family, friends, nobody would be talking about it, right? No media, no nothing. Everything would have been quiet. It wouldn't dominate the headlines. It wouldn't trend online. It certainly wouldn't spark a national debate, right? That was clear. But Trump has never been an ordinary political figure. For years, he has occupied a unique position in American culture in a very different way. Part politician, part celebrity, part businessman, part media phenomenon. As we all know that we've been seeing this, whether people support him or oppose him, one thing is very undeniable. Trump attracts attention. When you combine Trump and the White House and the UFC event and America's 250th anniversary, you create a story almost guaranteed to dominate public discussion, even the social media. That's exactly what's happening right now in this 2026. And the event has become bigger than a birthday, bigger than sports, and even bigger than politics itself. So it became a conversation about symbolisms. Now, how Republicans may see this from their point of view. For many Republicans, the reaction is relatively straightforward. They look at this event and see like an energy event, confidence, full of excitement, and a uniquely American style of celebration totally. Now, many supporters have always appreciated the fact that he does things very differently. They don't want a traditional politician. They don't want carefully scripted moments. They don't want this way. They don't want a business as usual like before. No, they want something memorable, something unique, something very bold, something people will talk about all the time. And from that perspective, a UFC event associated with the White House fits perfectly. But supporters may argue UFC represents competition, determination, discipline, and strength, right? Qualities they believe reflects the American spirit. They may also argue that America's 250th anniversary shouldn't be celebrated with boring ceremonies that few people watch. Instead, they might say, why not create an event that captures the country's attention? Why not make it so exciting? Why not make it so memorable? To many Republicans, the criticism misses the point totally. They don't see Trump taking attention away from America. They see Trump creating attention around America. That's what they see this event like. Now, on the other hand, how Democrats may see this. Many Democrats, however, are likely to see the situation very differently, very weirdly. They may ask whether national milestones should be celebrated or centered around a political personality at all. But after all, America's 250th anniversary belongs to every American. That is normal. Republican, Democrats, independent, young, every single human being in this United States, old, rich, poor, every single human being I'm talking about. Like, critics may also argue that such a historic moment should be focused on nation's history, institution, achievements, and future, right? Not on one individual, even if that individual happens to be the president of the United States. Now, some may worry that the lines between the national celebration and the personal promotion have become totally blurred. And others see the event as another example of modern politics becoming increasingly centered on the personalities rather than ideas. Now, from this perspective, from this point of view, the issue isn't Trump itself here. The issue is very clear. It's all about principles. Now, what should the focus be during one of the most important anniversaries in American history, right? That's the question many critics are asking right now. And what's the answer they're getting? Now, on the other hand, the bigger issue nobody is talking about, nobody's even thinking about. But perhaps both sides are missing something really important, because the most interesting part of this story isn't about birthday. It isn't about the UFC event. The most interesting part is what the debate reveals about the modern America. Think about this for a minute, right? The fact that millions of people are discussing this story proves something important today. Politics today is no longer just about policies. It's all about identity. It's all about symbols. It's all about cultures, personalities, and full of emotions. So one group sees the event and feels the pride, right? On the other hand, another group sees the exact same event and feels concern. The facts are identical. The reactions are completely different from two sides. So that tells us something important, how divided political perspectives have become in this America. And Americans are not simply debating an event. They're debating what America itself represents. And perhaps that's why the story has become so much larger than anyone expected. So my conclusion overall, that maybe the real answer is that both sides are seeing part of truth. Trump supporters are right about one thing: a 250th anniversary should be very memorable. It should be inspiring people. It should bring attention to the country overall. Critics, on the other hand, are right about something too. A milestone this historic should belong to the nation as a whole, not to any one politician. But perhaps the most important lesson is that 250 years of American history cannot be defined by a single event. Not by a UFC fight, not by a birthday, not by a precedent. No. America existed before Donald Trump existed. America will exist even after Donald Trump. And the story of the United States is ultimately bigger than any political figure who temporarily occupies the White House. And so maybe the question isn't whether the celebration is right or wrong. Maybe the question is what Americans choose to remember, right? When future generations look back on America's 250th anniversary, they will remember the arguments, or the politics, or the conversation, the controversies, or they will remember the nation reflecting on 250th year, celebrating achievements, struggles, freedom, innovation, and opportunity. Tell me what they'll remember, because at the end of the day, presidents are the chapter in America's story. They are not the story itself. And perhaps that's the perspective worth keeping this debate continuing. Now, the spotlight may be on Donald Trump today, totally, but the anniversary belongs to America. It doesn't belong to a single person. So that is something every American, regardless of political party, can appreciate or not. So the whole